One of the most notorious incidents took place here at Trumpen Church in 1578. A raiding party of MacDonalds from Uist, just across the water behind me, landed here at the north end of Skye. When they got here, it was a Sunday morning, and the wee church behind me was full of a congregation mostly composed of MacLeods. The MacDonalds barricaded the doors and set fire to the thatch. As the flames and the smoke took hold, the MacLeods inside desperately tried to escape through these small windows, but the MacDonalds outside cut them down. When the MacLeods of Dunvegan arrived in force, they found that the entire congregation had been killed. Enraged, they set off in hot pursuit of the MacDonalds. When the MacLeods caught up with the raiding party, they showed no quarter and the MacDonalds were slaughtered. The MacLeods then dumped the bodies alongside an old stone wall and pushed it over to cover up the dead. It's said that for years afterwards, the bones of the MacDonalds could be seen protruding through the stones. And the entire episode is known in MacLeod legend as the Battle of the Spoiled Dyke. The MacLeods celebrated their victories at great feasts at Dunvegan Castle. And great feasts required plentiful supplies of food and drink, sometimes more than a clan could provide for itself. Warring clans not only wanted the enemy's land, they wanted the crops and livestock which stood on it. And as the feuding between the MacLeods and the MacDonalds intensified, eating and drinking took on even greater significance. I'm having lunch with historian Robert Dodgson to find out how food fights increased the feuding between the Highland clans. So, Robert, can you tell me how feasting and food fits into the whole story of clan feuding here in the Western Isles?
If a chief could feast extravagantly, then it was a sign that he had access to the most critical resource of this region, i.e. food.
So it was a kind of flamboyant display?
It's a flamboyant display, yes, and it was an extravagant display. If you lived in a world of scarcity, then the capacity of a chief to feast was a mark of your standing and your status.
How big were these feasts?
They could go on for days.
For days?
Yes, for days.
Until the food ran out?
Yes, or until people were simply exhausted from the constant drink and eating.
What kind of food would have been laid out on the banqueting tables 2 or 3 centuries ago?
We know that the average Highlander couldn't afford to kill his cattle for meat in the way that a clan chief could. And certainly if cattle were gained by feuding, there would be an added appetite.
So it seems that there's more to clan feuding than just killing each other.
Absolutely. Just like today, you can see wars as resource wars, people fighting over key resources like oil. So also can you see clan feuding as, in a sense, a fighting over resources. Food played a key part. You were diminishing the capacity of rival clans to maintain the people whilst enhancing your own ability. If you look at detailed descriptions of clan feuds, they stress the amount of theft going on, theft of cattle in particular. At the same time, they were destroying the standing crops of the townships they were raiding. And so in a sense, you could say they were diminishing the capacity of one clan to engage in feasting whilst enhancing their own.
The clan's culture of raiding and feasting had a deep impact on the ordinary people living in the Highlands. By the beginning of the 17th century, Skye had endured generations of bitter feuding. A contemporary historian wrote that local people had been reduced to such a state they were forced to eat horses, dogs, cats and other filthy beasts. Now, I'm not sure how accurate this is, but it does make the point that life here was pretty rough during the time of feuds and forays. In 1601, Ruairi Mór, the 15th chief of the MacLeods, tried to end the feud not on the battlefield, but in the marriage bed. He offered the hand of his sister to the chief of the MacDonalds on Skye, Donald Gorm, but his plan ended in yet more fighting. George Macpherson is a Shenachie or clan storyteller. He's taking me to Corrin and Creech, where the feud between the MacLeods and the MacDonalds came to a bloody climax. George, when did the feud between the MacLeods and the MacDonalds on Skye come to a head?
Well, it all came to a head in 1601 with a hand fasting.
What is hand fasting?
Well, hand fasting was a contract entered into between two parties whereby they would remain as man and wife for a year and a day. And if in that time the woman produced an heir, then it would be turned into a marriage.
So this hand fasting was designed to end the feud between the MacLeods and the MacDonalds. Was it successful?
No, it wasn't. After the year and a day, Donald Gorm sent Rory Moore's sister back to him. He had discovered that she was blind in one eye, so he sent her back, tied backwards on a one-eyed horse, led by a one-eyed servant with a one-eyed mongrel dog trotting behind.
Well, that's a great insult.
It was a huge insult, and of course it was intended as such to aggravate the situation, and it led eventually to the War of the One-Eyed Woman.
The two clans were now engaged in an all-out battle for supremacy. After a year of intense fighting, the War of the One-Eyed Woman reached a violent finale when the MacLeods and the MacDonalds clashed here in this glen.
After a tremendously bloody fight, there was hundreds killed on each side. The MacLeods had to give way and retreat back to Dunvegan Castle. But so much blood was spilled that the river we can see down here was called Altgerad Bic, the Little Red River.
Although the MacLeods lost the Battle of Corrin and Creech, the War of the One-Eyed Woman ended without a winner. The conflict was so destructive, the king intervened, and after more than 100 years of feuding, the two clans were forced to sign a ceasefire agreement. Corrin and Creech wasn't just the last battle to be fought between the MacLeods and the MacDonalds on Skye, but it was also the last clan battle to be fought anywhere in Scotland. And in true Highland style, what better way to mark the end of a long and bloody feud than by throwing a big party? It's said the festivities at Dunvegan Castle lasted for 3 weeks. Rory Moore saw to it that his former enemies enjoyed the very best of MacLeod hospitality. Food was generously provided, and the drink, well, the drink was consumed on a staggering scale. Neil MacVurich, one of the MacDonald's legendary bards, noted that there was no stinting of the generous wine which would overcome the hardiest of heroes, and that 20 times drunk were we each day, nor did we rebel against it. But it was the playing of the bagpipes and the pibroch that cemented the clan's newfound friendship. The MacLeods and the MacDonalds had finally come together in peace, and the terrible cost of their bitter feud was expressed in the haunting music of the pipes. Rory Moore's renowned piper, Donald Moore McCrimmon, played the MacDonalds into Dunvegan with a pibroch that's still played today by his descendant Callum. Nice one. That was an excellent piece of music, Callum. Does it have a name?
It's called MacLeod's Controversy. This tune was written by Donald Moore McCrimmon, more as a reminder of the feuding that had been done, I think, rather than a celebration of it finishing.
Now, you're a McCrimmon yourself. And what's it like playing this piece of music today in the 21st century?
It gives you an insight into, hopefully, you know, what was going through that composer's mind at the time. MacLeod's Controversy, I feel, is quite a sad tune and reflects the bad times that were shared between the MacDonalds and the MacLeods for over 100 years. The MacLeods had